Yes, Mr. Gecko, you're a huge inspiration to us all. But who was your muse?
Oh, my dear old Nan. She imparted many wise words to me. She would say, never let the fame get to your head, always remember who you are, and let people get more than just savings with Geico's fast and friendly claim support. I lived up to her advice, and now anyone can file a claim anywhere and anytime. I miss her so much.
Did she go somewhere?
Yeah, extended quilting trip.
Oh.
Get more than just savings. Get more with Geico.
What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the Mac Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts all things Mac, all things football, all things sports, right here, Mac Sports Connection, baby. The Mid-American Conference best, bringing it only the greats, Mac, to everyone.
We're talking the 2025 Kent State Golden Flashes. Flashes just 1-23 in the last two seasons, but new interim head coach Mark Carney takes over as the head man. Can he or can't he get this program back on track? Find out next. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Max Sports Connection podcast. I'm your host, Alex. Joining me as always, it's Graham. Graham, welcome back.
Excited to be here, Alex. That's the we get to talk about the most exciting team in the MAC this year, right?
That's what I've heard. You know, anywhere but down is where they can go.
That's right. Well, starting at rock bottom for the Kent State Flashes this year. Not just poor play over the past two seasons, but mired in controversy over the offseason. What do the Golden Flashes have to look forward to this year, Alex?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the Golden Flashes don't have to. They can look forward to the fact that the head coach is not potentially gambling.
Well, we don't know that yet. I wouldn't bet
potentially. There's an allegation. I'm not gonna full on say that that's what was going on, but that's kind of the rumor that surfaced. But I think that we know that they know there is a finite number of games that they will play under Mark Carney. And I think if you're Kent State right now, if you're the players, you're getting tape. You're getting an opportunity to kind of grow yourself. If you're Mark Carney, you're fighting to try to win this gig. I think, and we'll get into the schedule here shortly, but I think Mark Carney really has an uphill battle even on this. You know, obviously he was part of that coaching staff. In fact, he was the offensive coordinator under former head coach Kenny Burns. Again, just 1-23 in the last 2 years. Lost to an FCS program, St. Francis, last season. And Graham, we've got the numbers right here. This was not a good offense. This is an offense that averaged 13.9 games. Or 13.9 points over 12 games, less than 3,000 total yards, coming out to about 233 yards per game, under 1,000 rushing yards, and under 2,000 passing yards, 4.09 yards per play on the offensive side of the ball. That's not high quality offensive football.
Dismal. Yeah, dismal. Now, Kent State's had a tough schedule these past 2 years. And things don't get much easier this year, Alex, but they're playing big games out of conference against big teams. And sometimes those teams run up the score and play a stout defense. So you can imagine how these numbers can be a little bit skewed from that, but still most of their games are in conference, as is true of all MAC teams. Most of their games are in the conference. And these numbers, they're just dismal. I don't see much of a bounce back here. We're going to talk about the players and the positions here. We have a couple of guys coming in who can maybe turn this offense around. But last year, the offensive line was suspect, and it seems like it got worse.
Seems like it got worse. You know, I'm looking at some of these potential players who could potentially impact. You got Jamarcus Hill from Southeast Missouri coming in. You've got Matt Pajust coming in from Buffalo, a depth guy from Buffalo who honestly he had some competition in front of him there at UB. I don't know what's going to happen with this offensive line for Kent State. And we'll kind of get into some of those positions a little bit later. This coaching staff, we'll see. Clay Patterson comes in second year. He was previously just the wide receivers coach, and now he's kind of also watching the quarterbacks who were not stellar last year. And then the defensive coordinator, Cherokee Valeria. This is first year, moving from corners to safeties, and he's the defensive. This is a new coaching staff. The bunch of players coming in. Graham, let's get right into the quarterback play. The most important position on the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about these quarterbacks for Kent State.
Last year we had Tommy Olatowski holding down the proverbial fort for the Kent State Golden Flashes, and he did the best he could. I think that's what we can say is that he did the best he could. He is gone now. He's headed to Kennesaw State, and I think you could flip a coin and guess who's having a better season between Kent State and Kennesaw State. I really truly don't know whether he found sunnier shores over there. But coming in, we have CJ Montez, who is a transfer. Montez coming in from Fordham. And the question is, can he run the offense? It seems like he's an upgrade. It seems like the quarterback position got better, at least at the top of the quarterback position. The question here is the offense around him good enough? It doesn't really matter what driver you put in the seat of the car. If there's no engine, you're not going anywhere. So I think that's the question here is, does Kent State have enough around him to make the Montez transfer worthwhile?
Well, and I think that's where it gets tough, right? You don't know. You really don't know what's going to happen. This is. I like the CJ Montez move. In fact, fun story for those who don't know. CJ Montez actually has wins over MAC programs. 2023, he has a 40-37 win over Buffalo. Graham, you and I were at that game.
Yes,
I don't want to talk about that one too much there, especially for our Bulls fans. But so he knows how to win against MAC competition. Now, I would argue at the time that the roster for Fordham a little bit better than the overall composition of this Kent State roster. But he understands what it looks like against a MAC defense, and I think that's going to be a little bit of what Kent State's relying on this year. Obviously, you mentioned Tommy Ulatowski. He is no longer here. Devin Cargman comes back, the presumptive backup to CJ Montez. And I think for me, what stands out about CJ Montez, 26-1 touchdown to interception ratio in 2023. He did not play a bunch last year, but that is a fantastic touchdown to interception ratio that any head coach would want.
Yeah. And frankly, it's got to be better than last year. That's where we're at with this Kent State team. That's the truth of all of these positions for Kent State, is it's got to be better than last year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this team. Despite the numbers we talked about earlier, this team tended to prefer running the ball last year. They just weren't successful with it. Despite having twice as many passing yards as they had rushing yards last year, this team was prone to the rushing attack. It just didn't work. Passing attack also didn't work. So fair. But when we talk about rushing for the Flashes, the big name that we have to talk about is transfer in Jordan Newman, who is going to take over as the lead back here. He comes in from Minnesota. Certainly an outstanding player and an opportunity for the rushing attack to get better. It feels like every time we're going to talk about these players, though, Alex, I'm waiting for the other foot to drop, and that other foot is the offensive line.
Offensive line is going to be a point of contention for sure, but I think Jordan Newman brings a nice little spark. He had a great season a couple of years ago. Did not play much at Minnesota last year, but a familiar name to Kent State fans, Gavin Garcia. Played really well a couple of years ago. Got in 11 games, had 3 starts. Did not play last year. I believe that was due to injury. But that's a guy that Kent State fans, I think you should be excited about. If this offensive line, again, and we'll talk about that in a second, can withstand the challenge of protecting the quarterback and making holes for the running backs. But I think this is a solid 1-2 tandem in the Kent State backfield. Of course, you got Aiden Harris coming back. You've got, and I think running back might be the most exciting room on the team right now. And admittedly, I'm not overly excited. Krishan McCray was the big home run guy. And let's be very honest. For what he had to deal with, kid did the best he could.
Sure. And I think you're right when you talk about this running back room, at least in terms of depth, is the deepest position on offense. And you talked about Jordan Newman, Gavin Garcia, Aiden Harris. There are guys here who can run the ball. And the issue last year was that the offensive line didn't offer that space that running backs need to create. And I think that's going to be the same issue this year. Last year, offensive line wasn't particularly talented, but they did have experience. This year, they have neither. This offensive line, I'm going to go right to the offensive line, Alex. I know that's skipping a few positions. We can go back to the pass catchers, but offensive line here is a position where we've got one guy with any real experience on this offensive line, and everybody else is starting pretty much from scratch with no real experience in college football. Across the line, we've got Jamarcus Hill, Matt Pajusa, you mentioned, transferring in from Buffalo, Dustin Morrill, who's coming back, Ashton Rivera, another transfer, and Garrett Masterson. So, all of these guys, not a lot of experience there for these guys. Possibly talent. We've got a handful of 3-star recruits on the line, so there's a chance that these guys are talented enough to turn things over and really make this into a strong line. But frankly, hard to tell. Just not a lot of experience there across the line, and that's what worries me. The offensive line was really a hole for Kent State last year, and it didn't seem like they've done much to fill it.
I think you're spot on there, Graham. This is an offensive line who really struggled, gave up a lot on that side of the ball for protection. Did not allow Tommy Ulatowski, Devin Cargman to do anything in the backfield. You play 12 Division I college football games, and you're at under 2,000 passing yards for the year. That is a sign of a very damaged offensive line. I do like some of these transfers. I liked Ashton Rivera coming in from Florida International. Rico Steele is also in this offensive line room, coming over from Bowling Green. And then, Matt Pajusic, I really think there is some promise. But for me, there are a lot of guys who it's just, what if? Southeast Missouri, you've got a D2 transfer in Junior Dilio. This is not a great room right now. And that's okay. Well, it's not really okay, I guess, if you're Kent State, but it's one of those things you have to say, all right, we are already the lowest we can possibly be. We have to build somewhere. We have to start somewhere. We have to take the guys we have and turn them into ball players. And this is the section of the team that is going to hold Kent State back in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case. last year we had 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line had over 500 snaps in their careers, or 500 starts rather. No, 500 snaps. I'm sorry. And this year that number is 1. One of 5 have over 500 snaps. So that's the point. 500 snaps, not that many snaps. You don't have to play that many games to get over 500 snaps. And it's kind of the mark of experience in college football. Most of these guys have little to none at all. So there's a chance that this offensive line really gels. But what we normally see in the MAC is the more experienced offensive lines are the ones who are successful.
Absolutely. Let's just jump back to these pass catchers real quick. We talked about the quarterbacks, talked about the running backs. This wide receiver room. Again, who knows? You did get Deshaun Martin back, sophomore. I think this is positive. 10 games last year, 24 targets, 8 catches, 108 yards. So he's going to have to step up in a massive way. This is going again. We talked about Krishan McCray kind of being a hero for the offense last year. You should be looking at Wayne Harris to kind of fill in that slot. You got JJ Etheridge. There's some talent here. I really do think that this is a little bit more talented of a room than what we might be giving them credit for. Ardell Banks coming in from Kentucky. He's a sophomore with a couple more years of eligibility, and I think there's value to that. 6 games a year ago, 8 targets, 2 catches for 20 yards. I worry about this room because there's a lot of talent towards the top, and then 1 or 2 of those guys get hurt. It's you see the same process, wash, rinse, repeat over again.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are the 3 guys you mentioned who I like here: Darshawn Martin, Ardell Banks, and JJ Etheridge. I think are going to be the top guys as far as wide receivers are concerned. And again, it for me, it comes back to the offensive line. Are they giving the quarterback enough time to get the ball out? Is Montez going to be able to get the ball out there? And you're right. This team is, their starters are not so far removed from the starters in the rest of the conference. But underneath that, the depth is concerning at most of these positions, the exception being running back. So it's a few injuries here. You wonder how this team fares, especially given the kind of tumult in the offseason as far as coaching is concerned. It's hard to say that Kenny Burns's team was doing very well these past 2 years, considering just the 1 victory. So, I'm not super concerned that we're not seeing the 3rd year of Kenny Burns, but I'm a little bit concerned that we might have to with the short turnaround for Mark Carney. How much time has he really had to install what he would like to see there? And how much control over this team does he really have as the interim head coach? I think that remains to be seen. I wish Carney the best, but I think it's going to be tough for him. As far as other pass catchers go, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the tight ends. Not a lot of guys returning at the tight end position for the Flashes. Looks like the at the top of the depth chart at tight end, 2 transfers in Christian Berry and Tarek Mulder. What do we think about them?
I really like this Christian Berry pickup, not because of any real experience he's had. I mean, last year he played 11 games. He did have a touchdown on 8 targets, so there's something to be said for that. But this is going to be a block heavy tight end room. And I think the offensive line is going to be very grateful for that because that's going to give them a little bit more of a boost. But, he comes in from Davidson. And then Tarek Mulder comes in from Presbyterian. These are guys who, there's opportunities here for them. Dakota Taylor is kind of, I would have to say, the guy who is the returning guy who could do most of the damage. But, Hunter Hopperton comes in from Rhode Island. Like, these are a lot of FCS to FBS transfers looking for a better opportunity, but the opportunities they had at their respective schools, they didn't really seem to do a whole bunch. I don't know. It does look like a lot of these guys are great pass blockers from just everything I've seen. It looks like Christian Berry had 381 snaps a year ago. But he's a great run blocker, great pass blocker. So I think there's going to be a lot of value in that. And he just has the ability to catch the football once in a while.
Yeah, and frankly, that's I think that's the right takeaway here. Kent State doesn't look like they have a ton of pass catching out of their tight ends. Looks like these guys are going to be blockers, and I think having a guy who can occasionally run a route, catch a pass, is going to be exactly what the Flashes are looking for from the tight end position this year.
Let's flip over to the defense here, Graham. We've got Kent State runs kind of a 4-3 defensive scheme. And what really hurts the defensive side of the ball is their most recent defensive coordinator, Cody Morgan, left in the middle of the summer to go take a job at North Dakota State. One, I don't blame the guy. Now you're going to work for a program that has an unbelievable shot at winning a national championship at the FCS level. So, best of luck to him. But this is going to be, again, another kind of rough go at it for Kent State. This defensive line is okay. But a lot of the projected starters are not Kent State recruits. A lot of these projected starters are transfers in either from this year or from years in the past. And it's a lot of guys coming up from the FCS ranks. Jamon Mathis, you've got Matthias Carroll, you've got Jelani Davis, Amon Williams. Like, these are, Cornell for Amon Williams there. And the only one that I think has a little bit of extra value from just P4 experience is Thomas Aiden coming in from Pittsburgh. And then Antoine Campbell. I don't see a lot. I mean, there's a lot of games played with some of these guys. I think Jamon Mathis is the one that probably sticks out the best. 12 games last year, 18 tackles, 4 sacks, 19 stops. Like, I think he's the one people should be most excited about. But this is a transfer heavy team or a transfer heavy defensive line. And when you have a transfer heavy aspect of anything in your program, that's a lot of guys to get up to speed in a new system. You lost the defensive coordinator in the offseason, so now you have to change other things, or you have little nuances that are going to get changed with the new defensive coordinator. And then also you have to make sure that these guys fit the culture that you're trying to build with the uncertainty of a head coach who, let's be very honest, likely won't be here after December.
And really tough to do that. With this room is either transfers or young. There's not really a lot of middle ground on the defensive line for Kent State. That being said, a couple of guys, Matthias Carroll, he's been here. He originally from Virginia Tech, but he was with the Flashes last year.
Sure.
Same thing with Mason Maddox, who has been here for a year as well. And really, even the guys transferring in have experience. This is not like the offensive line who had transfers come in with almost no experience. A lot of these guys played more than 10 games last year, which for a defensive lineman is a whole season. So that's guys with some experience on the defensive line, guys with a little bit of talent on the defensive line. So I think really this unit could be a strength of this Golden Flash defense. Now, the problem is, what does that mean? I mean, this defense was, by some marks, the worst defense in college football last year. So you can only go up from here. We talked about how bad the offense was last year. The defense was somehow worse. So this is a unit that has the opportunity to not be very good and still be way better than last year. And I think they have the talent and the experience to do just that.
Kind of pointing to the defense last year, 44.1 points per game over 12 games. Now, some of that number is inflated, as you mentioned at the top of the show, with Tennessee dropping 70 plus on them. So that does kind of inflate a little bit. But when you get into conference play and you look at just their conference record, they still finish last in the conference in scoring defense. You want to guess how many points they gave up on average to conference opponents?
How many points?
40.5. So that Tennessee game didn't skew much. Skewed a little bit, but this was a defense that gave up 3 points more than second to last Ball State, and the only one above 40 points per contest. So this, again, nowhere to go but up for Kent State. And you're right. They do bring back some experience, with Carroll and of course with Maddox and then Campbell. Now you got to get these other guys to kind of gel with them, but the guys behind them, backing them up. This is a unit I'm actually very excited about for Kent State. Doesn't feel like there's a lot of depth here, but I am very excited for this unit, and that's the linebackers. Kanan Williams comes back. He was a BG transfer a couple years ago. Last year he played 11 games. Mason Woods returns. He had 12 games last year. Nyland Brown, 8 games last year. Samaji Cross transferring in with 12 games under his belt from last season.
Yeah, and I think the linebackers are going to be strong this year. The biggest thing that we have to look forward to is not just the guys you mentioned, guys with real experience. I think Kanan Williams is going to be great for the Flashes this year. I think Mason Woods equally going to be great for the Flashes this year. But what I'm really interested in is Kent State has had a pretty decent recruiting job when it comes to linebackers, bringing in three-star recruits at the linebacker position in Tanner Mintz, Trey Rubenstein, and Rafael Terrero Jr. True freshmen who, I mean, unfortunately, and not unfortunately, there are guys ahead of them who are going to get the opportunity to really play in this defense. But true freshmen who are talented, and it's nice to see something in the works for Kent State, something in the pipeline that'll develop into starters down the road. That's what I like to see in this linebacker position.
It's really interesting. I really like this pickup of Samaj Cross coming in. I think this adds much needed depth to this room. Samaj Cross coming in from, I believe, Lafayette College, who, funny enough, Bowling Green plays to kick off the season this year. But I really like this addition. 12 games last year, 18 tackles, 1 sack, also had an interception. So that brings some much needed depth to this back room, as well as to this linebacking room, as well as some experience. And those are things. Yes, I firmly believe the linebackers will be a position of strength for Kent State. And I think this next group, the defensive backs, will be another position of strength, and it's going to be an underrated position of strength. I'm looking at these numbers. Tevin Tucker coming back 10 games. CJ Young coming back 9 games. Angelo Stockstill coming over from Western Michigan. He only played 1 game last year, but he's coming from a great program. And then a couple other transfers. Dwayne Gissendander coming in from, he played at Presbyterian. We got Atiq Muhammad coming in from UTEP, and then DJ Barnes coming in from a D2 program. All guys with experience. But then you've got more returners. Joe Boma coming in. He's got 5 games from last year. Clinton Robinson coming in. Martell Buchanan. Like, this is a unit that has, while not great experience, this is a unit that I think is only going to get better because so many guys return. And I think that brings a significant amount of value because they're not guys who return with just 1 or 2 games. They're guys who return with most of a season, a lot of a season, almost all season. And I think there's a lot of value to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there are some studs in this DB room. Now, there's a ton of guys who are playing defensive back for the Flashes this year. Having a ton of guys does not necessarily translate to depth.
Sure.
What we're looking for is the quality of that depth. I'm not sure I see it here, but there were guys last year who I don't think we talked about coming into the season who looked very good last year. I was specifically thinking of Jair Rawlson, who only had 3 games last year that he played, but in those 3 games looked great. He was a true freshman last year. Redshirt freshman this year. So a talented kid who has the opportunity to step into a larger role this season. So I think that there are guys who maybe we're looking at the bottom of the depth chart and we're not seeing what they can be. And there's certainly an opportunity on this Kent State defense for anybody to step up. But I'm not seeing a ton of talent outside of the top 4 or 5 guys here.
Nope, that's completely fair. I think it remains to be seen. A couple of the decent commits, a bunch of 3-star freshmen coming in. So who knows? I think depth purely in the sense of they're going to have a lot of guys, but I think you're spot on with a lot of guys does not a deep room make. So we'll kind of let's touch on these special teams.
Do we have to?
We have to because they're a critical aspect of college football. Will Harisko coming back as the kicker, played in 7 games last year. Just 3 of 5 on field goals. He was perfect on PATs. And then Charlie Durkin's going to be punting. I think we'll see. He didn't play last season. He did play the year before. Krishan McCray and Luke Floria dealt with all the punt returns, all the kick returns last year. Deshaun Martin and Jazzy Kimbrough. I think those are the guys you have to look at and say, hey, you're going to go be our return specialist. Go get it done.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. We know in the past, especially within the Mid-American Conference, punt returns, kick returns, the return game is often the opportunity for teams who aren't doing so well to win games. When you can take a kick back for a touchdown, when you can put your team in great field position, it can give you an opportunity that you wouldn't normally have. And so I think Kent State has got to be looking for strong return men. I've heard a little bit of whispers in the Northeast Ohio community that Josh Cribbs has been making his way out to Kent State to help out with that a little bit. We'll see. He's not officially coaching the Flashes, but I know he does find his way out there occasionally to help out a little bit. So we'll see if any of that rubs off, and Kent State has a great return game this year.
A little Northeast Ohio scoop there for you guys. Josh Cribbs toying with the Kent State sideline there, at least here in the preseason.
But overall, I think special teams is not going to be something to talk about for Kent State, unfortunately.
And that's fair. Again, nothing really popping out in terms of being overly exciting. But this is a great chance for Charlie Durkin to step in, be a big time punter, really help the Flashes with field position, and then for Will Harisko to improve on a year ago. I guess that's going to kind of wrap that up for our season preview. Before we get into our schedule, want to make sure you guys have downloaded the Varsity app by Lairfield. It's free to download in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. With the Varsity app, you can listen live to all your favorite Division I college teams, hear calls from voices across the MAC, Big Ten, SEC, and more. You can sign in, save your favorite schools, sports, and content for easy access. You're also going to find hundreds of amazing podcasts through the Varsity Podcast Network, including fan favorites like Max Sports Connection, Group of Five Guys, the Sickos Committee podcast, and many more. So make sure you download the Varsity app today for free. Start listening to the calls and podcasts that bring your favorite teams to life. Graham, you mentioned it. Not quite the quote-unquote ride to hell tour that Sickos Committee has branded for Kent State the last couple of years. But this isn't a cakewalk schedule either for the Golden Flashes, although I will say they actually get to start the season at home this year,
which I think is a huge benefit for Mark Carney, getting him a chance to have his feet under him a little bit before the I don't know, ride to heck is the slightly less ride to hell. But before we get into game by game, I'm looking at this schedule, Alex. I see the most optimistic I can possibly be is 3 wins for the Flashes. And that's sad. That's also spoiler. I'm not giving the Flashes 3 wins this year. But that's the most I can possibly see here, being super generous.
So you were picking them to beat, if there's 3 wins here, it's Texas Tech, Florida State, and Oklahoma, right?
Those are the ones. Those are the ones.
Okay.
Those big Mac upsets, baby.
Well, Graham, let's dive into the schedule. We'll kick off the season here with Merrimack on August 30th. That's at Dick Stadium in Kent. I feel like this is their shot at a win, and it's a good way to start the season. What about you?
Yeah. This is the chance. And if Kent State doesn't win this game, I don't think Mark Carney holds on to the head coaching position. Now he will through the end of the season, but I think this is make or break. Despite the fact that there's a whole season after this game, this is the one. And for me, because this is the one, I do think Kent State, hungry for a win, gets this one. I have Kent State beating Merrimack.
All right, moving down the list.
Well, hold on. Who's your pick?
I already said I think it's going to be Merrimack.
Did you? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You were just so excited about Kent State getting this win against Merrimack that you forgot that I also agreed with you. One of the few times we're going to agree. Well, probably not this season for Kent State, but one of the few times we agree ever. So let's ride with that. Moving on to next week, September 6th at Texas Tech. Woo!
September 6th at Texas Tech. I don't know that we need to talk about this. This is Kent State loses.
Okay, that's what I've got too. Sadly, for Kent State, I think that's sad. But again, that ride to heck tour, not as strident as the ride to hell tour, but pretty close. We already have our September 13th game picked from a couple weeks ago when we did our Buffalo preview, and we picked Kent State to drop that game. Yes, it is at Dick Stadium, but Buffalo is just going to be too good this year.
Yeah, I think Buffalo is just a better team than Kent State is.
Moving on, we've got Florida State, the Seminoles, welcoming the Golden Flashes to town. I'm chalking this one up as a loss, but Kent State's going to play tough for the first quarter.
No, Kent State is not going to play tough for the first quarter. This is a Florida State win, though. Kent State loss.
And to wrap up the Ride to Heck tour at Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner gets it done against the Golden Flashes, I think.
100% true. Another loss for the Flashes.
Now we get into conference play. October 11th, you kick off the 2025 conference schedule against UMass. I think this is where this gets interesting. UMass is... So when I saw the AP Top 25 full reveal, it's they are not Top 25, but the RJ Young full 136. UMass and Akron and Kent State and Ball State were all 132 through 136. There's very little faith in any of these teams. I like Kent State to get the home win over UMass.
Yeah. Welcome to the conference, UMass. Kent State finds a victory here.
All right. Look at us. Look at us agreeing. We're both Kent State 2-4 now. Which that's a big step from 0-6 a year ago. Moving down the list here, Kent State travels to Toledo. Toledo hungry for a MAC championship. We'll get into our Toledo preview later, but Kent State's not getting it done in the Glass Bowl. Not on a Saturday. This is Toledo. I believe it's their warm-up game, or they're coming into this game right after the Washington State game. So maybe Kent State catches them off guard a little bit, but I severely doubt it. I'm giving the Rockets the win here.
Yeah, I also have Toledo win this game.
All right, the next four are pretty easy. We have 4 losses for Kent State. Bowling Green, at Ball State, at Akron, and then against Central Michigan. That brings us to the final game of the 2025 season, November 28th, at Northern Illinois. DeKalb, Illinois welcomes the Golden Flashes back to Husky Stadium for the final time of NIU's tenure in the MAC. What do we think, Graham?
This is an NIU win. They're going to cap off their time in the Mid-American Conference with a victory over Kent State. I just don't see it happening for Kent State this year.
I'm right there with you. I think as much and as fun as that would be to see Kent State run out of Illinois with a win, I just don't see it happening. I think even if NIU's offense isn't great, their defense is always good. And they're going to be able to do enough defensively to prevent Kent State from doing absolutely anything.
Yeah, I think if you look at Northern Illinois here, you can make up excuses. You can say this is the end of the season. Maybe Northern Illinois doesn't have anything left to play for, so they're a little less focused. You could say it's the end of the season, so the weather is going to be nuts, and maybe that gives Kent State a little bit of evening the field. You can say maybe Northern Illinois has one foot out of the door as they're leaving the conference, and they're not as focused. But none of that. For me, anyway, gives the win to Kent State. I think this is definitely Northern Illinois' game.
I like it. Now, here's the question that we'll wrap up the show with today. 2-10. This is clearly a marked improvement over the previous season, over the previous 2 seasons. And I don't know that marked improvement is the right word. You're beating an FCS program and then a first-year MAC program in their first game in the conference. What do you think, Graham? Is this enough for Mark Carney? 2 wins, you lose to Akron. Is this enough for Mark Carney to be considered for the job, or do you think Kent State goes a different direction come December?
Well, Kenny Burns kept his job at Kent State despite only 1 win in his first season. Because the university liked the way he sold them on his academic standards for his players. He liked the way that he was pushing that aspect of the student athlete, really pushing the student side of it. It depends. I think Kent State still has that philosophy when it comes to their football program. At least right now, they are focused on the academic side of it. But I also think they recognize that they were burned by Burns, and so the question here is has that changed their philosophy? I think Mark Carney is of a similar cloth when it comes to a focus on academics, and I think that could keep him alive for another year. But I think more likely this is a job. Somebody else is going to be the head coach of Kent State next year.
A one and done for Mark Carney, 2-10 in conference or in the Mid-American Conference this year. Again, a marked improvement over the previous 2 years, but I think I'm about with you there, Graham. That's this is Mark Carney's in such an impossible situation as an interim head coach. You have nowhere to go but up, and if you can't, that's a problem. You lost your defensive coordinator in July, that's a problem. There's a lot of pieces that are missing to make this a successful team, and we'll see. I'm excited for Kent State. I love Dick Stadium as much as people like to give it a hard time. I think it's really cool. They have those tables in the one end zone with all the different coaches and players that have come through. I think it's kind of cool that it's a little bit away from campus and it's in a wide open area. Like, Dick Stadium is kind of a cool little facility if you guys get the chance to ever check it out.
Yeah, the little athletic complex over there, not that far from the university, close enough that you can make the walk from campus. Although I wouldn't recommend it. There is ample parking closer to the stadium. But fun little stadium over at Dick's.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate the support for continuing to make us the #1 Mid-American Conference podcast in the world. I was looking at some analytics that I shared with Graham, and we've got quite a good following, and we really appreciate that you guys have given us this platform and continue to offer us an opportunity to grow. And it's been fun. It's been a great journey so far, and we've got plenty more to do. Graham, I will share with you this. I saw something really cool in our, if I can find it, in our analytics. We're in multiple countries, and not just Canada and Mexico. No, we're in Germany. We're in the UK. We're a little bit all over right now, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, certainly a shout out to anybody who is listening to us from outside of the MAC region. We know MACtion is worldwide, but you folks are the ones who prove it.
We have, I'll just kind of give you a quick rundown for those listening. We have people in Spain listening to us. Shout out to our people from Spain checking us out. Jamaica, the UK, Switzerland, Australia, Puerto Rico. Germany is our second most popular country, and I think it's because my last name is German. I can't verify that, but I think that's what it is, Graham.
That's definitely it. And if you folks want to hear more about the countries of the world, I recommend there's an Animaniacs song from the 90s that does a pretty good job, because we're not going to talk about this ever again. Thank you for sitting through it.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate the love, support, again, everything you guys have done to help us grow. Please check out all of our socials. We just passed 4,200 followers on X. So thank you guys for that support over there, trying to continue to grow this thing. You guys have made this a lot of fun. Make sure you're checking out our Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook. You can find us at the Mac Sports Connection, also on YouTube. And then again, just subscribe, leave a review, leave a like on our episodes. Tell us what you love, tell us what you don't love, and we'll try to make it a little bit better each and every recording. So thank you guys, and yeah, we'll see you next week. We have our UMass preview next week, moving them up in the alphabet, not because of the UMass, but Massachusetts does come before Miami alphabetically. So we'll be talking the Minutemen on next week's episode. Thanks for tuning in, guys.